All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Apostate Weekly. I'm your host, James.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are here to bring you your weekly dose of apostasy. And as always, we remind you to apostate your way. And let's go ahead and see if I can roll that intro for us, because this is my, having trouble sharing the video.
We have faith. We have faith in you, James. I'm praying to Jehovah for you right now.
Well, as long as it's not like from Star Trek, the faith of the heart.
I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Now this is driving me nuts because it's giving me an error on the intro.
Want me to try it and just see what happens?
Yeah, see if you can go ahead and roll it for me.
Let's see what happens. Can I roll the intro? Is it magic?
Hey, it worked for you. I don't know why it wouldn't for me.
The bones of David's spleen didn't want to work for us this morning.
I guess.
I think bones rattling.
Yeah, it was because yesterday was Valentine's Day.
He was locked in the closet. That's what happened.
He will come out eventually.
Eventually, he's going to come out of that closet, friends.
Yes.
Hopefully, it's straight into the ground. Just saying.
Hopefully, maybe the closet will have like a little trap door and just go.
Just take him down under the stage.
That's right. Take him down under, mate.
Hey, mate. That's not a knife. This is a knife.
So, this week's news features. It's a very tragic story that I'm going to start off with here, and it's just. I mean, I don't know how to say it other than it's just tragic. And because I don't wish this on anybody, Jehovah Witness or not. Okay. So this comes out of Rockford, Connecticut here. Here's the headline here says a Rockford man identified fatally shot while volunteering for Jehovah's Witnesses. So basically this guy was waiting in his car on people finishing up knocking on doors, just like my granddaddy used to do all the time. He'd send everybody out in the group to go knock on the doors, and we would go do like 1 or 2 return visits, come back and pick up the hot and sweaty group and then go to McDonald's. It's kind of what this scenario sounds like to me.
It's usually the routine. Taking it easy, knocking on doors, taking some breaks.
I mean, it's not urgent since you can have the time to sit back and relax while everybody else is doing the work, right?
Especially if it's your full-time job.
Yeah.
Volunteering.
So this man, he wasn't that old. He was only 54 years old. Again, he was sitting in his car, and it was a drive-by shooting from a 15-year-old I think it was a boy that did it, and
15.
He was carted off to the hospital, and they later pronounced him dead at the hospital at about, I think it said like 12:06. It says here that they pronounced him dead. And they know who did it now. I don't know. I've tried to find out to see if they actually arrested the kid yet. I haven't seen anything on that yet, but they do know who did it. They have I guess a warrant out for him. And it's just tragic to see something like this happen. Yes, I know people will say, well, I don't want them knocking on my doors or whatever. And I get that, but it's still their right and freedom to do that in this country, at least. And
Yeah.
so I don't, berate them for doing what they think is right and everything. They don't need to be out there getting shot up for it either.
Right. No, nobody
But
should. It could have been it could have been a kid sitting in that
yeah,
car. You know what I mean? And that's
but
just horrible.
but to um add to it a little bit. So I found the video for it on YouTube where it was the news report video, and they had there were some comments from like Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm going to assume they're Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't want to speak for them, but the one of the comments said that something about it's beginning to happen, and so they have that persecution complex about it, because
Right.
like they're coming after us because we're out in service and we're doing God's will. No, that's not what's happening. This is what's called an isolated incident. You don't know the motives behind what this kid did or why he did it, but we do know that it happened, and it's tragic. And
Right.
I feel sorry for the guy losing his life for this happening. But it's
Right.
not because they're coming after you and inciting more persecution upon you
Mm-mm.
just because you're a Jehovah Witness.
No, like you said, it is an unfortunate isolated incident. Um, in this country, we've seen that gun violence is all too common. Mass shootings are all too common. And I mean, I do absolutely think that going door to door is a dangerous thing. It's not something that I would encourage people to do, if you ask me, unless it's that urgent to you. I mean, hey, there might be a point in time where I'm knocking on doors to tell people about, maybe I'll get them to sign a petition about the Jehovah's Witnesses or something. There might be a time where that's a needed thing to do, but when it's your full-time job to be in these positions every day, I I just I don't think that anything's that important, but again, you do have that right. I
Mm-hmm.
agree that you have that right to do that.
And Jay here is absolutely right. It's the wrong place at the wrong time scenario. And that's all that really
Yeah.
was. Now, in that video I saw uh, on YouTube as well, they were interviewing one of the neighbors in that neighborhood where this happened. And he was saying that the neighborhood that they were in is known to be a violent neighborhood.
Oh,
He even
really?
said how he has gunshot holes in his house from other incidents that have happened before. And according to the news, he was a longtime resident of that area.
Okay.
So there you
Mhm.
go, right there.
So see now my opinion is changing a bit with this information, because I think that as brothers, right? People who are supposed to protect the congregation, in my opinion, it would just be smart to protect the congregation and not go into areas where acts of violence are more common. I'm sorry. I just don't
And
think that you should be putting your kids at risk, at least.
no, and I
You want to
agree
do
with
it, but
you. But the problem is they're going to do it anyways.
I know. I
And
know.
so, excuse me. So despite that, putting themselves in that situation or not, I still don't think he deserved to be shot and killed. 100%. I'm going to stick with that, but
No.
you're right.
Can you
Protecting the
mitigate? Can you mitigate some violence for your congregation? Only adults go into the area, or like you can change some things, like you only go at a certain time because this is a time like noon, it's never violent. Whatever it is, you figure out a way to get to the people if you feel you really need to, but sending people into a violent area, that's
well,
just a shame.
in that case, if it was me, I'd say, well, that should be either a letter writing or a telephone territory.
But
You know,
problem solved, James.
exactly.
No, honestly, problem solved, because
Yeah.
that is all you need. The people can
Yep.
still get the message. You're just going to give it to them in a different, you're going to deliver it a different
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. And we have that. That's one of the biggest things they always used to do: letter write or phone witnessing. Boom, done, easy.
Right.
So
I agree with you. See, and this is why I think it's important to talk about and discuss, because my opinion did change. My opinion changed. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not blaming anybody, but I think that there should be different means to get the message out there. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember my dad telling me this story before. We always used to get a kick out of it.
But it happens, right? I've heard
Yeah.
these anecdotal stories at the Kingdom Hall, at conventions, of people having gun pull. Like, it's a common thing
Oh,
for
yeah.
it to happen.
Well, also, I remember years ago, a congregation that my dad and I were both in this one together, Newport Richie. We had a brother who went to a door, and the person at the door accused him of like scraping their car with his pen or something. And then they went and got in their car and blocked the brother in on the street and tried to keep him there. And this ended up going to
That's
court
scary.
and everything. And of course, they won their case. The brother won his case and everything because he wasn't doing anything. He was being attacked by the householder basically, but still, and this wasn't even a neighborhood that was commonly known for issues like that either. So
You don't know. You never know.
no, you
It
don't.
could be anywhere. You catch somebody on the wrong day or for whatever it is. Of course, we always think that we always would protect people. We don't want nothing bad to happen to them. I just hope that if there's ways that they can protect themselves more aptly, they should do that.
Yes, exactly. So anyways, let's go on to what you have for us this week.
Absolutely. Let me get it on here on the screen. And let me see if I can. Oh, hello. Is that a bit bigger? That is a
Oh
bit
yeah,
bigger.
even I can read
Hello.
that.
All right. So let me scroll up to the top here. So if you all haven't heard, there has been a whistleblower from this arm of the Mormon Church. So the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is reportedly they're investigating Ensign Peak Advisors, the investment arm of the Church of the Latter-day Saints of Jesus Christ. We know them as the Mormons. Just call them the Mormons. For alleged fraud following a 2019 whistleblower complaint alleging that the Utah-based firm had violated tax laws by amassing $1 billion in reserve portfolio sourced from church donations earmarked for charitable purposes. The firm, which submitted quarterly public reports to the SEC after the allegations surfaced, reportedly failed to disclose its entire portfolio that's required by the regulator. So the firm might have to pay a fine. We don't know how much the fine is, but there is a source that's saying there could be a settlement within months. And as of yet, the Internal Revenue Service hasn't taken any action against the church. But can you believe that? That is a shit ton of money that the Church of Latter-day Saints is using to invest and make even more money.
Yeah,
It's
sounds
astounding.
just like the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right, which is why I was very curious about this, wondering if there is a possibility that we can do the same. We can get an investigation going into the Jehovah's Witness organization and their investments. Because as you know, if anybody doesn't know, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they get all kinds of investments willed to them when people die and whatnot. So they have attachments to many different companies that they themselves wouldn't be able to work for because it would not be considered moral. Like we've talked about before, like if you wanted to weld rockets or something for war as a Jehovah's Witness, you wouldn't have been able to do that. But then we find out that the Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, has investments in those kinds
Mm-hmm.
of duplicitous
Right.
organizations. So profiting off of war is really what's happening with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I want to read a quote from this article. The enduring drama surrounding the nearly 17 million member global Face Wealth exploded into the headlines in December 2019 when David Nielsen, a former money manager at Ensign Peak, filed a whistleblower complaint with the IRS alleging that the Salt Lake City-based firm had amassed a 100 billion reserve portfolio using church donations intended for but never sent to charity in violation of tax laws. Okay. So, as much as this company is trying to portray themselves in the up and up, there's so many loopholes.
Oh yeah.
They don't think that they can get caught. And I just guarantee you, as careful as they probably try to be, there's so many ways I'm sure that they are breaking the law. And I think it's the same thing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. We just need to get them, we just need an investigation to start.
See, I just wonder how many different shell companies they have that they're funneling this money through just to avoid either public recognition or taxes or whatever it may be so that they can cover it up as much as they can.
Right. And the wealth that they have, they this is the part that cracks me up. Church authorities said these rainy day, they call them rainy day reserves, are intended to help pay for operations in poorer parts of the world and see the global faith through economic downturns. What do you think is happening now, sir? Do you not see the world in an economic crisis? Don't you think that 100 billion in reserves could change the lives for the better for the rest of I mean these people's generations? We could change lives here with this wealth.
Oh yeah. Well, see, your story that you're talking about here also made me think of another one that happened this week. For those who watched the Super Bowl, they had the "He Gets Us" commercials on there, and yeah, exactly. And it cost $20 million to put these commercials on TV. Okay.
Mhm.
And according to the New York Post here, it says this is just a small part of the $1 billion they plan to invest over the next few years to promote their Jesus loving message.
Yes.
How much of that money could be put to ending poverty, getting rid of homelessness, feeding hungry people?
Mhm.
All that money could be going to so many better things. But no, let's put out advertisements for our religion and tell you that Jesus loves you and give you these, good feelings inside and mushy gush. And then on top of all that, behind closed doors, they're oppressing LGBTQ and trans communities
Yes.
and causing other divisions that, in the political arenas and pushing their Christian nationalism harder and harder. So they're trying to put out this like super positive, loving message, but we really know what they are behind closed doors.
Yep. They use Jesus as a platform. They weaponize Jesus and they stand on top of him and they say exactly what you say. All of these loving messages of Jesus gets us. Jesus
Mm-hmm.
understands our plight. And then not even behind closed doors, they are out and proud about it, how they are trying to take away our rights. So on one hand, it's I think it's just a smoke and mirror show where they're like, oh, look at here. And then behind closed doors, they're stabbing people and
Mm-hmm.
taking their
Well,
rights.
and here's what I don't get, because one of the commercials I only saw, I think there was like two that were on the Super Bowl, and I saw one of them for sure. And the one I watched was all these black and white images. They were still images, right? But they were all of like people fighting or having some kind of conflict with one another.
Right.
And then they go on that backbone of that to try to push, the loving and accepting message of Jesus Christ. I don't believe in that anymore, but if Jesus was around nowadays, he'd be going into all those churches and whipping all those money boxes and preachers over and knocking it down, because that's the kind of person he was in the book that they believe.
Right. He was put to death because he was a political prisoner. He was somebody that the Roman government did not like. He was put to death in a way by the Roman government. If he was put to death by his people, supposedly as the Bible tries to portray it, he would have been stoned. It clearly states in the law in Deuteronomy, you stone somebody. Then if you want to hang them, you can hang them, like whatever, if you need to embarrass somebody to get a message across. But to hang somebody while they're alive, that is particularly disgusting and tragic. And it's
Mhm.
meant to remind people you do not fuck around and find out with the imperial government. And that is
Exactly.
exactly what Jesus was doing, flipping tables in the
Yeah.
temple.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just wanted to say I agree with Steve that the Jehovah's Witnesses really kind of made Jesus like a secondary character. And now
yeah.
I feel like they're trying to, I don't know, they're trying to hype him up a bit more than they used to.
Well, I think more than that, they're trying to hype up the governing body
Of
because
course.
that's who their God is becoming, is the governing body. You know, they are the guardians of doctrine. God.
Yeah, you're right. That's how they consider themselves. Not
I
accurate, but
I just take out the O and call them the GD.
goddamn.
Exactly. Well, anyways, that is all we have time for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for all the comments and support that you've been giving this channel. Please pass the word around, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next week at the same bat time and the same bat channel again.
We'll be here. Check us
All right.
out. Thanks for watching. Bye, all.
Yep. Bye.